You ever wonder why in the animal kingdom everybody's killing each other? There's predator and prey. Isn't it a funny phenomenon that we're so against it amongst us humans, even though unfortunately there are some humans that are still doing it and acting like predator and prey? But by the animal kingdom, it's so accepted, and that's just the way of living, and there's no other way for them to live. We all know a lion or a tiger only eats meat, and this is the only way for him to survive. Why does the world look like this? So listen to an incredible yesod based on the writings of the Rav Chaim and the Brisker Rav. It's on the Brisker Rav al Torah, Rav Yerucham, the Beis Halevi, and others that say an yesod that's really connected to our parsha, Parshas Yisro. Yistakel be'oraita ubar alma. Chazal tell us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked at the Torah as the blueprints, and from there he created the world. Sounds pretty classic, sounds kind of cliche-ish if I could say, but you don't realize how much this affects us. Ad Kedei Kach, Rav Yerucham says someone who doesn't believe it is a min, he's an apikoros, he's kaviyachol a heretic. And I'll explain to you why. Usually we see the phenomenon that we have parents, and therefore we have a Torah that tells us to kibud aveim. But the emet is exactly the opposite. The truth is the opposite. It's because the Torah says that there's a mitzvah of kibud aveim, so therefore now we have a phenomenon that everybody has parents, Bezrat Hashem. Meaning the way the world was created was based on the mitzvot in the Torah. In order that those 613 mitzvot could become nitkayem, could exist, therefore the Torah was developed and made, and then eventually the world was developed, a way to imitate the Torah. That's what it means, blueprints, just like every blueprints that we're familiar with. We usually think we have this crazy, hard, difficult Yetzer Hara, and therefore the Torah says, watch out, watch your eyes, don't talk, be careful what you put in your mouth. It's exactly the opposite. It's because the Torah says that there's the idea of a Yetzer Hara, and therefore I want you to restrict your Lashon Hara, be careful about the things that you eat, make sure your eyes don't wander to the wrong places. Because the Torah says these things, all of a sudden we have a tatur, we have a Yetzer Hara. So developed in this world is this phenomenon that we call a Yetzer Hara that exists so strong because we have to go ahead and overpower it and be able to keep to the Torah. It all goes together. And therefore, Ritzicha and Gneva, when we talk about killing or stealing or most things that are well understood, is basically based on the Torah. Since the Torah said it's asur, it exists in this world, and therefore we feel guilty when it's done. A person, even though he might go ahead and rob someone else, pickpocket someone else, try to pull a few extra dollars off of someone in some business deal, in the end of the day, sometime he's going to have what we call a matzpun, a type of guilty conscience, and that comes because the Torah says don't do it, and the Torah developed this idea that we call it conscience. We feel bad, even though of course we all have the capability to do it. We could do it, but the Torah is the one that developed the conscience. Because the Torah is there, therefore we feel guilty that it's done. Animals have no Torah, they were never built on a Torah, it doesn't exist. They're there to serve us, it's a different shear, and it's not relevant for now. But in as much as the Torah is not there, there's nothing to be guilty about. That's their existence, that's how they live, and there's nothing wrong with one animal killing the other, because they're not based on a Torah-dika world, a world that's surrounded by Torah, and therefore it's perfectly okay. If you're going to ask me from the non-Jews, the Goyim, don't forget, they have 7 mitzvot b'nei Noach also. And therefore, those 7 mitzvot obviously limit them and put them in the place that they're supposed to feel. And that's why every country or society should have these laws of actually not allowing killing, except for some Palestinian countries. But more or less, that's the idea. Now, why does Rabbi Yerucham call this minut? Why is this kfir? And this is a very important lesson. Okay, so for today's shir, maybe I thought the other way around. Am I such a bad guy? Who cares? Rav Volbe says in a letter an incredible idea. You have 2 people who work a 9-to-5 job equally. Each one is doing the same job and even maybe learning a little bit at night afterwards. But they're in 2 different worlds. One person, his base is my job, my money, my parnasa, what I got to do. And I don't feel good about not doing anything. So B'ezrat Hashem will make it to some type of daf yomi shir, maybe every other shir, maybe on the second side of the daf he'll make it to the end of the shir. He'll always try to make it to the daf yomi shir to be able to attend his tzorchim. But there's a second guy who, again, he might be working that same job as the first, but he's in a different world. He's in the world of Istakel be'oraitu bar alma. He doesn't add Torah to his life. His life is Torah. meaning everything he's doing is focused on the Oraita. That's what I have. From there, I build my world. My priorities is built on the Torah. What school I decide to send my children is decided by the Torah. How much I'm capable of learning, of being able to get out and be able to keep a seder is based on the Torah. How much do I need to work? How many hours should I be keeping 2 jobs or 1 is based on the Torah. Everything his mind is running is Istakal Baraita Ubara Alma. Before I would give that immediate knee-jerk reaction to my wife when she made that comment when I was walking out the door, Istakal Baraita first. That decision comes by looking at the Torah, and from there I will make that decision. He's in a different world. He's in a different world. And again, I'm not talking about the guy who's a koilel guy, who's the gadol door. I'm not talking about a rabbi even. I'm talking about the same straightforward guy, 9 to 5 guy with his business suit and his tie, like everybody else. But the difference is his focus of life. Is Torah an accessory? Is it something that just comes as an addition? Or is it something that's part of my roots? Is it part of my life? This is what I am built from. I grow from this. These are the roots of my foundations. It's not just something that I add on to the car. It's not the nice rear view mirror that I put on the car. It's the car. It's the engine. It's the way that makes me move. This is what makes me tick. Hashem created the world that way, and that's how we have to create ourselves. We have to make ourselves part of that, part and parcel of that idea. Rav Chaim Shmulevitz and the Mir Yeshiva were on their way back from Shanghai in the middle of the Indian Ocean, coming back to eventually or to Eretz Israel and then eventually to America, some of them. And they were in the middle of the ocean looking right, left, and center, and they only saw water in all directions. One of the Talmidim went to Rav Chaim and they asked him, Rebbe, where are we? How far? Like, how many more days is there? I hope we have enough rations. You know, there's a very scary phenomenon. There was no television screens. We didn't know what was going on. Where are we? Says Rav Chaim, or in Shmaita Gimel. We're in the middle of this place, in the Shav Shmaita. We're in the middle of Shmaita Gimel. We're in the middle of this Sefer. In other words, his focus was Istakal Baraita. Where we are, it says, happens to be we're there. But where we are is based on the daf that you are located presently. That's where it comes from. I'm not talking about the word Chaim Shmulevitz, and don't go with those levels, because then you'll just say, oh, this is not for me. In other words, if our focus is what I can be doing and my decisions are based on where the Torah perspective comes, what is a Kodesh Baruch Hu? I wish I had an audience with a Kodesh Baruch Hu. How much would I pay to have an audience, a private meeting with a Kodesh Baruch Hu b'chvaydo v'atzmo? So you do. Istakil be'oraita. Look at the Torah. Ubar alma. If you need that Torah, sometimes you need a rabbi to be able to help you to get you that position. But the rabbi is developing through his throat what a Kodesh Baruch Hu is coming to tell you. Listen, look, pay attention, because the Kodesh Baruch Hu is sending you that message. Be the baby in the mother's arm that goes from one errand to the next errand to the next errand, that when you ask the mother, she'll say, I was in the post office, I went shopping, and I ended up going to visit my friend. But when you ask the baby, he's only in one place. He's with mommy. He's always with mommy, nowhere else. A person who's an Araita Dikayin, a person who's always focused on the Torah, that's where he is. Everything else is subordinate. It's an accessory. It's something that you also do. Don't run away from the world. That's not the message. We're here in this world to be able to do what we need to do. But the frame of mind is different. Alvai. We can get to this, or we can be mechanech our children in this direction. Because I have to tell you, and especially here I'm in Eretz Israel, and I see the difference sometimes. It's a breath of fresh air. In a place where we are surrounded with such a selfish society, where everything is a focus about me, myself, and I. My decisions are all that matters, the way the Western world is teaching us to think. What I think is emet lamito. If it's left or the right, center, up, down, right, turn around. Doesn't matter. Whatever I think, and how many levels are there in everybody's thinking, everyone's got their own opinion. So then, that's the emet, that's the truth. And we have a Masoret from our Rabboteinu, we have a Masoret, the Torah, Masor Yeshua Leskedim, in order to teach us that no, not always everything I think is the Sof Pasuk. We have something that's higher, we're above, we're in a different level. Appreciate it, Mi Ke'amcha Yisrael, that we have such a connection to be able to be told in Araita. The Torah tells us sometimes, and it guides us. It puts our perspective in the right place. We build our world around that frame of mind, a godly way of thinking. We have a private audience for the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Utilize it. Take advantage of it. Make those decisions based on that, and not on everyone's free will decision that comes just on the base of whatever my stomach told me what to do that day. day. If you raise your children like that, you will see beautiful children. I never promise, otherwise I would promise. If we would be able to raise our children with that, children that are not just into their teenage selves, children that are into what's next to what kind of iPhone I can get, it would be such a focus on understanding, just like I know that there's a being above me. They see a parent that realizes that my decision is not everything. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs my life. So they will also understand, oh, if Abba or Ima says this, if Tati or Mami says this, then yes, that's something that we also do. The lesson that we're learning today is the way the world was developed was from the Torah to the world and not the other way around, or not together. So too the way we think starts with the Torah, and from there we develop our decisions into how we will take our world into our perspective, and that should hopefully, B'ezrat Hashem, spill over to our children, and they will learn the same concept that Kodesh Baruch Hu or my parents who represent Hashem make our decisions, and we work, of course, with our own way of thinking to be able to do things. Kiratzon Hashem, Shabbat Shalom.